We are so pleased to welcome back on set Leslie Cutler for her section that we called Mindful Moments, and Leslie is a licensed psychotherapist. Leslie, welcome back.
Thank you, Julie. It's so wonderful to be here today.
It's been a
Thank you.
while.
It has been a little while, and I've missed seeing you guys.
And we've missed you. And today, a very apt topic.
Yes.
You're going to talk about the 5 ways that social media affect our mental health.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
let's dig right into that. So give me a preview on why you decided to do this.
Well, part of it is because this topic keeps coming up in my office again and again, and also personally. I mean, every time we turn on our phone or our computer, we're hit with people's latest job promotions, people's trips to the Bahamas, people's, you know, and it's, and I keep thinking there must be some way that this is affecting people, this media oversaturation. You know, we have these little windows into people's lives and they're showing their best self.
Yep.
And what winds up happening is all of this comparison and jealousy and one-upping each other and this type of thing. And I started wondering, well, how does this affect our mental health and really our own authentic in-person relationships versus our virtual relationships? And there was a study that came out by the American Association of Pediatrics, and they really warned against, you know, social media bullying and the importance of parents monitoring this for the kids. And I'm thinking, well, my goodness, this certainly must affect adults as well. So as we know, social media hasn't been around forever, but now there are a number of studies coming out, and I've really just immersed myself the last couple weeks in reading these reports and these studies about what the findings are. And I've read scores of them, but I wanted to kind of put them in a nutshell for us today and just present kind of an overall findings.
Overview, right.
Yes.
Because everyone's social media footprint is very unique, very different, and it's some people only post sad things because do they want attention? Some people only post happy things, so there's nothing wrong with your life.
Right, right. No, it's interesting.
We even draw conclusions based on what people post about those people.
And you know, introverts, extroverts, people with narcissistic traits, they all go about using it in a different way.
Exactly.
And then that's exactly kind of what you're saying, too. It's, you know, some people post more towards the darker, some people kind of go over the top in terms
Everything
of,
is wonderful. Yeah, it's all butterflies and rainbows. So let's talk about the 5 major things that came out of these studies that you've come up with. And number 1 is social media is highly addictive.
Yes. Okay. So I have not personally found that to be the end result of any particular study. But what I'm saying is that many of the studies out there point to a lot of addictive traits. Okay, and talk about something called this Facebook addiction disorder.
Okay.
And so, you know, it's interesting because they fit the diagnostic criteria. So in other words, they did one study where individuals were taking their social media and their internet away from them. Okay, so this is both internet and social media. Okay. And they noticed that there were increasing rates of anxiety among those people. They found also that people that are on social media excessively tend to have a lot of addictive traits. So in other words, they're going there for a type of escapism. They're going there for, you know, a way of kind of modifying their experiences. They're going there, you know, for all the reasons that a person engages in addictive behavior patterns. Right. And it's just interesting the way they mirror each other. And I really think it's only going to be kind of a matter of time that it is actually considered an actual addiction and listed in the DSM, which is, you know, of course, the Bible for psychological disorders. Right.
Now, just as a commentary for kids, kids that start with their own Facebook pages at a very young age. Can you speak to that at all? Because we know that children tend to get addicted to things quickly. Yes. Very quickly. Like if you start smoking cigarettes, you're addicted right away. It's crazy. So I know adults use it certain, but can you just speak as far as the addiction to children or young people?
Yeah, and you know, we'll talk a little bit more about that as I'm kind of moving along.
Okay.
But, you know, there's a reason why there's an age limit for kids to get on social media.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids will just click that they're 18 or over or
they're
whatever,
not.
and
Right.
they'll use their parents' date of birth. But there's some very interesting effects of what happens to kids and the way that kids communicate over social media. And
Okay.
we'll get to that in a couple minutes,
Okay.
and that's very important to know.
So number 2.
Yeah, it triggers sadness and low self-esteem. So a study that came out a couple years ago showed that people's moment-to-moment happiness was decreased as a result of being on social media. So, you know, so often we go on it to try to feel happy or to find something that maybe might make us laugh or to see pictures of our friends and their babies and, you know, but what we're finding is that this is not the case at all. There was one study done over 11 social media sites, and in that, of course, was Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, the whole kit and caboodle, so 11 of them. And they found that people that spent a significant amount of time on these sites had a perceived sense of social isolation. So whether or not they are actually socially isolated is probably not the case,
Right.
but they feel like they are. And that perceived feeling of loneliness can easily spiral into a whole plethora of, you know, psychiatric type illnesses as well as physical
problems.
illness as well,
Sure.
and is a sign actually of early death. If an individual is highly lonely, the chances of an early death are much more significant. So I think it's important to note just, you know, these
That it
things.
does trigger sadness and low self-esteem.
Yeah, and it's interesting though too, because I think it's crazy to feel lonely in this hyper connection.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's at us
Yeah.
from
How do you circle that square?
Yeah, it's nuts. And I remember like when we were kids, if you were going out with somebody or had a boyfriend or a partner or a girlfriend, then, you know, if they wanted to break up with you, they would need to pick up the phone and call you.
Or face to face.
Or actually have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
But what seems to be happening with social media is what starts out as this kind of adolescent, intense relationship online. All of a sudden the person drops off. The other individual is sitting there waiting, is becoming anxious, knows that the individual has a phone, is on their phone all the time, and can't figure out what it is that they did wrong.
Right.
And so in that not knowing, they assume the worst, that, you know, they make something up and they hold on to something that's not the truth. And, you know, so the conversation doesn't even happen. They wind up being put on the back burner. And strangely, they wind up doing that to others as well.
To other people. So it also brings unhealthy comparisons and jealousy into our lives.
Yes.
Clearly, right? If
you
you see someone who's always happy and wonderful and beautiful and perfect, it's like, what are they doing right? And I'm doing wrong.
But you know what's even more bizarre about this? It found that this whole comparison factor, whether we're comparing in a positive or negative way, tends to have a negative depressive result. So the studies have found this. They did basically a thumbs up, thumbs down type of
study.
And they showed the person a variety of different pictures of different engagements. And so people were feeling the downward direction for not only things that were positive, but also things that were negative. So the outcome was, you know, unlike the human interaction of, oh, wow, your family's beautiful, you just went on a great vacation, oh, you just got that promotion again. Even the dark things made them feel worse about themselves, which is really interesting.
And odd.
And very odd.
Number 4.
All right, so number 4, we get caught up in this delusion of thinking that it will help.
It meaning social media.
Yeah, you know, when we were just talking about this, you know, so often we just take out our phones, we mindlessly scroll through them. And I think what we do is what's called a forecasting error. So you assume that you're going to feel different after looking at it. And again and again and again, you are left feeling worse, which is exactly the cycle of addiction. Because you think about any addiction, you know, it's like that need for the immediate quenching, but then the after effect is this really kind of dark heaviness.
And you're like, why did I do that?
And why did I do that?
Right.
You know, so I think that that's that's crucial to remember when you're kind of have that urge
Right.
to pull your phone out.
And number 5 is more friends. I have
Yes.
lots of friends.
Yes,
Don't equal a
friends.
more active social life. You
Right.
might have 500 friends, but how many can you do this with?
Well,
Have conversations with
yes.
eye to eye with.
Yeah, and you're
right?
so right about that. And this type of relationship has such different effects than that relationship.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, there's only so many people that one person could possibly manage in terms of friendships. I
Right.
mean, we all kind of cap off at a certain spot because we have lives and we have children or responsibilities or whatever.
Sure.
So, a lot of times people think that by adding people that they're going to be off in a better place and that they're going to be more social. But that is not the case
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
And the human interaction can work significant wonders over
Right.
what,
Right.
the virtual
Yeah.
kind of exchange will be.
So just to tie this all up in a knot, there are good things, obviously, about social media.
Yes.
I know when the power is out, you use Facebook to
Oh,
find out,
yes.
did you get power back? Is there a tree down? I mean,
Yeah.
when people are doing a GoFundMe for someone in the community,
Yes.
There's a lot of positive
And
aspects to
I
it.
absolutely agree with you. And I have seen, and research has shown too, that the positive part of social media really helps those teenagers and adolescents who are kind of on the fringe. So I'm thinking of, a trans, a gay, a bisexual child who lives in a very rural area.
Yep.
Or a disabled child
Yep.
can connect with other like-minded individuals
Sure.
their age and get that connection.
They have a community.
And they
Yeah.
can build a community.
Right.
And that's the place where it can be very,
Wonderful.
very helpful.
Right, right.
But, of course, it's key that all things in moderation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. This has been great, and it's something that's not going to go away. Social media is
True.
here to stay, and your takeaway really is to be mindful of what you're using it for.
Yes.
And be honest with yourself as to
Right.
what you're using it for.
Yes,
Yeah.
very true. Honesty and awareness,
Exactly.
mindfulness in all things.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Miss
Julie.
Leslie. We'll have you back soon.
Thank you.
Okay.